A couple of years ago I did a walking tour in Oslo, Norway. It was raining hard all day and the tour guide said there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. She was absolutely right, but unfortunately we have more of the same in Pristina today. It's forecast to rain and rain hard all day long. So I have come prepared, I'm pleased to say. I've got my waterproof trousers on. I've got a jumper because it's pretty cold today. I've also got a waterproof jacket, a waterproof cover for my rucksack, and an Englishman never travels without his trusted umbrella, so I've got that as well. I am looking forward to getting out there and exploring the capital of Kosovo, but before I do, I wanted to give you a quick tour of my hotel room. I checked in last night, and so far so good. I've been downstairs and had breakfast, that's included in the price. Free Wi-Fi also is included. There is the shower room, and then the main bedroom. It's got everything I need, comfortable bed. We have a little sofa area and a table. Got my luggage down here with my bits on charge. We've got a fridge and a television, wardrobe space, and we've even got a balcony. Let me show you out on the balcony and you'll see what I mean when I tell you it is raining. There we go. That is the view that we have out of the window and from the balcony. Okay, right. So, for all of that, £37 a night. So that's just over 40 euros a night. I think that's a pretty good deal. I am pleased to be here. It's been a fantastic trip so far. Let's go and see if we can explore the capital and see some of the important sites. I've noticed the drivers do that quite a bit. Okay, I have joined a free walking tour. It is raining like crazy. There are 4 Germans and myself on the tour. They wanted to know if I brought the weather with me. Instead of trying to make a video whilst listening to the guide, I think what I'm going to do is just enjoy the tour, and then later on this afternoon I'll walk around myself, take a little bit more time to explore the sites. But in the meantime I'm going to enjoy the tour, as I said, and we'll see what I can learn. So we've just finished our tour and I'm with the guide Erza, and she was telling me a fascinating story on the tour about what happened during the Kosovo War. So you were saying that you left the city when you were 4 years old with your family.
Yes, correct. So I don't remember it much because I was too young, but I've been told on the story and how we left the country. So as the bombardment started, I remember my parents telling me that we have to leave the country. To be honest, I don't really remember, I don't really know whether I understood what the bombardments meant or not. It was just something that I was told, that bombardments started and we have to leave the country. I didn't necessarily acknowledge that that is something that could be threatening to my life. But well, yeah, we left with my parents' car. We started, we were driving to Macedonia. But we learned that Macedonians had closed the border and that they were not allowing the people from Kosovo to go towards Macedonia. There were a lot of refugees, a lot of people from Kosovo that were trying to go to Macedonia, and Macedonia closed the border to stop the refugee flux going into the Macedonia. And then my parents made the decision to go towards Serbia instead. So they went to the eastern part of Kosovo. They went out of the eastern part of Kosovo. they were concerned initially whether we would be allowed by the Serbian policemen to go out, but the border police didn't bring any problem, so we could go out, as that was also the intention of the Serbians at the time, ethnic cleansing. So we were freely going out. We went out of Kosovo first, and then we went out of Serbia into Bulgaria, and we afterwards continued to Turkey. That's where we stayed for a couple of months as refugees. But for some parts of my family that were not as lucky, for instance, my grandparents were going towards Macedonia, but the Macedonians had closed the border and they had to stay there for around 2 weeks. They camped there, they stayed 2 weeks. They had a shortage of food, they didn't have any place to stay, they were staying in the camps. They waited for 2 weeks for the border to get open, but the border didn't get open, and eventually they returned to Pristina and they stayed here during the bombardings and during the war.
What a fascinating story there from Erza. She talked about it on the tour, and I asked her if she wouldn't mind repeating it after the tour had finished, and she was kind enough to do so. So that was really good. And obviously walking around the city, it's so hard to imagine what those days were like during the war, where people were wondering whether or not their house was going to be destroyed or whether they were going to be alive the next day. It must have been a horrific time. And something else very interesting that she told me, when I was walking to the tour this morning at 10 o'clock, I was completely amazed that the streets were abandoned. There was nobody about anywhere. But then Erza told me that it is the first day of Eid today. So it is a very important religious holiday. However, it is now lunchtime or early afternoon, and so it's a little bit more busy out now, and I noticed that some of the restaurants and bars were starting to open. So I think what I'm going to do now is re-walk some of the sites that we were shown on the tour. Right there is the entrance to the Cathedral of Mother Teresa, which is a Roman Orthodox cathedral here in the capital. It was built in 2010. If you go inside, you can pick up an audio guide for €2, and they'll let you climb to the top of the bell tower for €1.50. Unfortunately though, the weather has closed the bell tower today because, according to the lady inside, the lift doesn't work properly in the rain. So maybe another time, but if you get a chance, the views are spectacular from the top. I am currently on Bill Clinton Boulevard. Just check out for traffic. He is very highly respected around here, along with George Bush. There is a George Bush Boulevard as well. Tony Blair, another person, and that's because of the 1999 NATO intervention in the Kosovo war. You can see here Mr. Bill Clinton gets his own statue. Above it, the American flag. Above that, his photograph with 42nd President of the United States written under, and above that, the Kosovo flag as well. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting place to come. And Bill Clinton Boulevard, right in the heart of the city. So right there we have the Bill Clinton statue, and here we have a clothes shop called Hillary. Is that a coincidence? I'm pretty sure it's not. Okay, so I'm going to head back up towards the main part of the town, and whilst I'm doing that, there definitely seems like there's a lot of stray dogs around, and when you get like 1 or 2 of them, it's not too bad, but if there's packs of 3, 4, 5 and more, then they can start to get quite aggressive. No trouble so far, apart from a couple barking on the tour this morning. So we were followed by 2 dogs. They didn't become aggressive, they just started barking and growling at each other more than anything. I'm walking through part of the university campus now, and this is a really interesting area. There's a few things to see. We're going to explore some of them in a little bit more detail, but before we do that, let me give you a quick sense of what it's about. So over there is the National Library of Kosovo. It is either the most beautiful, unique, incredible looking building in the world, or the ugliest, depending on what your point of view is. And round here to my left there is a half-built Serbian church. That's really interesting, so we'll come back to that. And then over here on my left, there are a couple of buildings that are now part of the university faculty. They were built originally as military bases for the Yugoslav army. And then the rest of this is just kind of seating area and a park. So yeah, this is one of my favourite parts of the city, I think. Quite interesting, a mix of different things to see. So let's make a start with the library building. It certainly has a very unique architectural style. The architect said that he was going for a Byzantine and Islamic combination of styles. It was built in 1974 and it is a mixture of domes and cubes with what looks like a giant fishing net just cast across the whole structure. Inside it has 4 floors that have 16,500 square meters of space, ready to take millions of different copies of books. And if you're wondering how many domes are on top of the building, the answer is 99. Next on my list is the Serbian Orthodox Church here at the university campus. When I first saw it this morning, I thought that it was ruined. Maybe it had been damaged in bombing or violence in the city, but it turns out it was only ever half completed, and that is because it was built under the Milosevic regime in the early 1990s, just as tensions here between Albanians and Serbs were reaching boiling point. The work stopped during the Kosovan War, and then afterwards nobody really was sure what to end up doing with it, and so it kind of just sits there now. I think the authorities are worried that if they complete the church, they might upset the Albanian population, and if they destroy it, they might upset the Serbian population. So it's interesting to know how this will end, whether it will be completed, destroyed, or maybe just sit here like this as a tourist attraction so that people like me can come and see it. Good news, the rain has stopped and the skies have brightened up a little bit. The bad news is though, it is set to resume raining in about an hour's time, so I'm going to make the most out of this good weather. I was just walking down the street and I smelt the unmistakable smell of burgers being cooked. So I stopped by, I was pretty hungry, so I stopped by, had a burger, chips and a can of Fanta. And when they brought me the bill, I was absolutely amazed. It came to €2.80. What an incredible price. This is the Ethnological Museum, and unfortunately, like everything else in the city today, it is closed. But we have got a little sign here as well about the stone house inside, and it says here it's the only surviving building from the original Pristina bazaar. The buildings, which belonged to the Jewish community of Pristina, served as a blacksmith shop. This building, which originally used to have a stone roof, as one of the only buildings made of durable materials in the 1960s, it was physically dismantled and moved to this compound so that people could come and visit it as part of the museum. So it is straight ahead. I mean, they're not giving much away, you can't see anything. The only bit that I saw a little while ago was this tiny little hole here, but yeah, it doesn't show you the actual house. Look at that, it's made, I'm not going to touch it too much, I don't want it to fall to bits, but it looks like mud, straw, and also stones and small pebbles. And it is all held together by wood, which no doubt is probably starting to rot. So yeah, it's an incredible place. 500 years of Ottoman rule here has left behind a lot of traces of the empire. And one of them is just to my left now. This is an old clock tower. And unfortunately I can't give you a very good view of what it looks like because it is behind scaffolding. It's 26 meters high. At the top it has a bell that was sourced from the country of Moldova. And if you want to know what it actually looks like, that's the best I can do, I'm afraid. come down to have a look at the market. It looks like the market is closed, so I thought I would just record a quick clip, sights and sounds kind of thing. It is a little bit away from the city centre. The theme of the day is everything is empty, everything is closed. But again, interesting to see nonetheless. A makeshift stall there with panels and a van. Flag of the United States, the Albanian flag, the flag of Kosovo. We'll not go down there. Sadly, we're getting towards the end of the day. I wanted to show you just a couple more things. The first is the Youth and Sports Centre behind me there. It's a concrete structure that was built during Yugoslav times. It is still here and still functioning today. The next thing I want to show you is just at the bottom of these steps, but whilst I walk over there, I wanted to say thank you very much for watching the series. I'm about to call it a day here in Kosovo. On my first video, I asked the question, why would anybody want to come to Kosovo? Well, I genuinely hope that through these videos, I have been able to answer that question. I have never been to a country where there is so much to do and see that is just completely off the tourist trail. So, I'll just show you what I've come down here for. This is the newborn sign. It is perhaps the most famous sign in the city, and it represents Kosovo as a newborn country. And with that, I'll leave you with a few clips that remind you why your next holiday should be in Kosovo. Good night.
I've been searching, follow every step, every road, every single trace. How can you make the fire burn so brightly when you're so cold, cold, cold? Never as lonely as together with you, still together with you is where I wanna be. It makes no sense. Never felt happiness together with you, still together with you is where I wanna be. It's making no sense. Never involving me, those dark sides hidden away from me. Those doors are closed, closed, closed. How can you make this fire burn so brightly when you're so cold, cold, cold? Never as lonely as together with you, but it's where I wanna be.